Good morning to you, Sammy.
Good morning, and welcome to you and your viewers to the International Airport site. It's always a privilege and an opportunity for us to talk to your listeners directly as to what's happening and what's taking place on site and the progress that's happening. And everybody's eager to see the latest updates as to where we are and how we're tracking. Everyone, I think, has their fingers and toes crossed to ensure that everything goes well and that we keep on the trajectory of having the project completed on time. So I can probably start with the good news that we are still on time and still slightly ahead of time. Thankfully, Melissa missed us. Unfortunately, our thoughts and prayers go out to the folks in Jamaica who had to be impacted by it. But we were spared. That we haven't had any major climatic events that could stall the progress that we've made so far.
Now, we have realized before we start speaking about the frontal part of the terminal, I realized coming into the area now that there's a diversion.
Correct.
From the Wesley end, from Roseau. Give us an understanding as to what's happening.
Yeah. So your viewers and those who've been tracking the project, and I know there are many. Some of them probably know the project better than I do. But you would recall that we've always spoken about the bypass road or the access road to reconnect the Wesley and Woodford Hill villages. So what's going to happen right now, we've finally settled on the location for a tunnel. So the tunnel will restore the connection between the Wesley and Woodford Hill going to Portsmouth, Calibishie, that area. What you'd have noticed coming in is the establishment of a bypass road, a small diversion which moves travelers a little bit onto the side, so that frees up the roadway where the tunnel will be built. The designers were very deliberate in choosing the site because they wanted to ensure that the tunnel would go on the site of an excavated site, not on a backfill site. That way it ensures that the footings and the foundation of the tunnel is on solid ground. So the area for the tunnel is actually going to be where the existing road is. So that entire area is going to be dug up. The alignment is slightly skewed, taking into consideration factors such as drainage and ventilation, and to ensure that that traffic can flow unimpeded in both directions. So that what you've seen as a diversion is really the commencement of the construction works for the tunnel going underneath the runway and making it the travel from Marigot, Roseau, going through to Woodford Hill to be as normal without having to make a large round around the airport site and going through the airport site to connect. What that does also is that there's a large expanse of land in the palm tree area. If we had to cut it off and go around, that would become a dead-end area. Now your pass through the palm tree area will be retained, so travelers going through would not have to be inconvenienced significantly. And even the connections that exist between Wesley and Woodford Hill, they would have a large diversion going through around the airport site to get to Woodford Hill, where you just continue as normal. The SDA school is on the other side. Their students, I guess, that come from Wesley, they would have to make a big round. They could go straight, even accessing Woodford Hill Beach. So all those conveniences have been retained and taken into consideration.
Any furthermore dredging to be done on the more southern side of the airport?
What we've been working on is if you go to an area that's called referred to as Bottom Wesley, there's been a lot of sea defense walls that have been under construction. That site is the closest to the sea, and there's going to be a lot of backfilling in that area. So we wanted to ensure that the tow of the backfill was protected, and a lot of construction works has gone on in that area. And it's actually going to be one of the areas where there's almost 30 meters of backfill. So we want to make sure that the footing of that is properly secured and can withstand severe wave action in that area. So when we go, we'll have a look at it, and we'll be able to see what obtains. Coming to this side though, you will see we already pointed out the terminal, which is for the entire length behind me is the terminal, starting from the column to the furthest end over there, all the way to the other end. It spans a frontage of about 150 meters. The entire terminal will be about 15,000 square meters in size. And then you can see the other buildings are also coming up on the land side area. So you'll see the tower is also going up. The private aviation FBO building is going up. The cargo facility is going up. The hangar foundation works has already been done and going up. And the intent, as I've said before, is by this time next year, when you come back, I know you'll come long before that, but if you were to come in October of 2026, there will be a building right behind me. It's going to be a steel frame, and the terminal building, we could start touring inside of the terminal building this time next year. Yeah, so the progress so far has been really, really good, and we hope to keep it.
In reference to the runway, how far are we in terms of the workings of the runway?
Yeah, we're over 60% complete in terms of the foundation level for the runway. So there's still a little bit more backfilling that has to go on. That we're hoping to have completed soon, and the intention is to have it settle and to make sure that that everything is tested and properly compacted before your actual sub material for the runway starts going in, and then asphalt on top of it. But all in all, we're very optimistic that we should be ready for 2027. And a key part of the runway also is ensuring that the tunnel is completed, because the runway will be going over the tunnel. So that all has to happen in sequence. The tunnel we're hoping should be completed within a year. And so as soon as that is done, then the backfill and completion of the runway will in that area will commence.
I also realized that we are in this large open area. It looks like the car park.
That is correct. So the as designed, the access to the airport will come around the back, right? And then there'll be an entrance to my right to come in, where there'll be then be a drop off right where the crane is. Would be your drop off area for passengers departing. So your departing area would be from, let's see, this column here. Go back would be departures. The central area. So if you look in the middle, in this central area, that will be in the ground floor of the terminal will be your arrivals and your check-in and your security check-in. And then on the other side would be your arrivals, where you have your luggage carousel, customs clearance, and then to depart. And the car park really is designed to be situated in the front of all of that, to make it convenient for passengers to drop off or park their car. If you're going to a neighboring island or going away for a weekend, you can park, catch a flight, depart, and then come back. And actually, car parks are a significant feature in airports. I remember talking to the management team at Atlanta Airport to get a sense as to what areas drive revenue for the airport. And I was surprised to find out that their single largest revenue earner is from the car park. So if you go into Atlanta right now, you see a lot of car parks. They keep adding car parks to the airport, separate and apart from the aeronautical revenue. So we will have.
I suspect by virtue of saying this, in terms of driving revenue, that you would build at least 250 car park space.
We're going to have
here.
up to, I think, 300 parking spaces. Yeah, and we're also looking at the potential for retail outlets in the area around the vicinity around the car park as well. So one of the things that we've had several discussions about is the operating cost of the airport and opportunities for non-aeronautical revenue or non-passenger revenue as well. So there's a lot of retail space that we've included into the designs, and there's also retail space that has been allocated for future expansion outside. Although it's still in the airport footprint, but it's on the outside too, so the airport area can be an active area, buzz, separate and apart from those traveling to and from.
Drainage. We're in a time where quite a lot of water comes to our beautiful country, beautiful nature isle. What is the kind of work that you will have done in reference to drainage for the international airport?
Well, that was job one, to ensure that any heavy waterfall would have been can be quickly and efficiently removed from the site. And you can see by virtue of us being able to drive here, we didn't drive through any lakes or any major floods. So that's something that has been handled. The culverts have already been put in. That's the first thing that went in actually from a construction standpoint, were to clearly define the waterways and ensure that you could have adequate drainage during construction and after construction. And now one of the things that would have happened or will happen as a result of the construction is you now have a 3-kilometer long platform, which is like a big basin collecting water. So whereas before the waterfall, as you can appreciate, would be spread across several valleys, it's now one large platform collecting water. And how you handle that water is a big part of the design process. So directing water into drains and culverts along the airport side is something that was taken into consideration.
So what is going to be a feature in terms of the international airport? Because we have been talking about Dominica as the nature isle and all of these things. So you're going to take an opportunity to really
Absolutely. We will have, although stepping out of the terminal, you will see many water features in Dominica, and there's nothing in the terminal that can replace that. But we have requested and have included some water features as well into the interior design of the terminal.
Okay. Now, from the distance here, I'm seeing this open gorge. You could help us to understand what is actually happening here.
Yeah. So there's a little bit of an excavation taking place in that area there, because that area is where you're going to have your fuel farm, and there's going to be temporary access as well going on to the campsite, and hopefully we are working to see if we can have a potential access to the Joe Burton area coming through that. So that's something we're having discussions about, but work proceeds satisfactorily so far.
Vegetation. What kind of management for vegetation that you are actually preparing for the international airport? Because we know around this part of Dominica, you can have wild vegetation. So what is the management aspect of managing that wild vegetation?
It's good that you brought that up actually, because there are two things. One is ensuring that the trees in the area, or the trees planted in the area, are those that do not attract birds, right? Or the plants that are put in the area. You want to manage your bird population on the airport for obvious reasons. If you recall the miracle on the Hudson, that was as a result of a bird strike, right? So you don't want to have flocks and colonies of birds in close proximity to the airport side, just from a safety standpoint. But notwithstanding that, one of the things that we've been working with the contractor and developer on is to take a page off the book of Douglas Charles. If you look at the landscaping that was done at Douglas Charles, by far probably the best in the Caribbean, in the Eastern Caribbean, if not the entire Caribbean, in terms of the landscaping that was done there. So we're looking to replicate some of that, to be as good, if not better, in terms of the overall aesthetics and the attraction to the airport. Because the airport really is going to be your first and last impression of Dominica. Your first when you land and your last when you depart. So that's something we take very seriously.
I know that people tend to wonder whether there are Dominicans being employed here on the site, and you can help us to have a greater understanding and the value of, if there are, of the nationals who are employed here and the kind of work that they're actually doing in the development of the international airport.
So I mean, that's something we've said repeatedly. There are Dominicans at all levels in the site. So actually we have a weekly staff meeting. You'll see we have engineers who are Dominicans, surveyors who are Dominicans, drivers who are Dominicans, laborers who are Dominicans, housekeepers who are Dominicans. All in all, it's about it bobs between 200 to 300 in total, and that number, once we start putting up walls and finishing works, we anticipate hiring a lot more if we can get it, because that is something I know the developer has been actively on the search for local talent and local expertise in terms of being able to work on this project. Because at the end of it all, one of the things that we want to ensure is that when it's completed, you can have ongoing support for the airport. So electricians, you should have electricians and mechanics, plumbers who are familiar with the final construction and the final layout to be able to service and maintain all the buildings. So the intent is to keep adding and taking on as many as we can get our hands on.
Well, we know that we are speaking quite a lot, as a matter of fact, to be commissioned by December of this year, geothermal and also hydro. What is the international airport now marking towards geothermal for the future, or looking at using water hydro for the continuous electrifying of the international airport?
Well, we will be connected directly to the grid. So there is ongoing discussions as to being able to utilize the geothermal potential in terms of ensuring that there's sufficient load for the geothermal plant. So one of the selling points that we use regularly when meeting with airlines is exactly that Dominica as a destination is moving towards totally green energy, of which the airport will form part of that overarching strategy. Notwithstanding that, however, we've also taken the next step, because to install solar panels in some parts of the car park as part of a dual purpose for supplemental energy, as well as being able to provide some shelter as well in some parts of the car park. So we're trying to see if we can do some more of that. Douglas Charles is also embarking on a very large solar farm, so I'm hoping we can also benefit from their learnings in going down that road as well. So the intent really is by the time this is completed in 2027 to have a mix of energy supply similar to the country, which would at that time I'd imagine we'd be fully on board with a mix of solar, hydro, and geothermal, and the airport would be no exception.
I realize that central government is working towards increasing hotel space or rooms in Dominica. I would like to find out, as the manager of the CEO of the project of the international airport, where we are in terms of airlines coming to Dominica, when the inaugural flights will be made to Dominica in the next 2.5 years.
Yeah. Well, the fruits of our labor, I think, is pretty evident already, because those, especially who flew in on United or on American Airlines, that didn't just happen. That happened as a direct result of this project, right? In that, when meeting with airlines, and you'll be able to articulate a clear strategy and vision as to how the government is proceeding in terms of developing the tourism industry, we're able to make the case that let us start with what is possible right now to help develop routes, and then once the new airport opens up, it's just a matter of shift and lift. All right, so you shift United, American Airlines over. Notwithstanding that, we've engaged over the last 3 years in ongoing discussions with over 25 airlines, major airlines. Most recently, we've reconnected with some of the transatlantic carriers because they tend to have a longer lead time. So those like British Airways, we've spoken to Virgin Atlantic, Condor from Europe, and many of the European airlines. The US airlines, interestingly that you mentioned the hotel stock. Delta, for example, one of the first things they ask whenever we meet, any new hotels, any new rooms, because they tend to closely follow hotel development as an indication of growth and investment in the industry. So when you run the numbers in terms of the number of hotel rooms we have in Dominica, you see there is a lot of opportunity for growth. And I know some people are a bit skeptical as to whether we need more hotel rooms. Let me erase any doubt. We need more hotel rooms, right? I think in total, when you combine your major hotels, or what is referred to as export-ready hotels and A&B hotels, in total we have about 1,200 rooms, right? If you run the math on 1,200 rooms and assuming they're all occupied at 80% for the entire year, you're looking at a visitor arrival of about 129,000 stayover visitors. We're already at the ministry already has set a target for this year of 100,000 stayover visitors, right? So once we start doing an aggressive push in terms of getting new airlines, we need to take pivot and start taking a closer look at the hotel pipeline as well.
I'm sure that
to be able to get the rooms.
I'm sure that you want to say something to the agricultural farmers here in Dominica, especially in close proximity of Wesley, Marigot, Woodford Hill, and maybe even way down to the north, Portsmouth.
Right.
In terms of getting themselves ready, for the fresh produce to be shipped out of Dominica.
Right. Right. Well, and one of the things that we've started already. Again, I probably sound like a stuck record sometimes in that I want us not to get into the mindset of when the airport is finished, but I want us to get into the mindset of what can we do now, and what can we do now in the discussions that we're having with United and even Contour that has recently started is looking at putting under the belly air cargo service direct from the New York area, and also being able to leverage the major cargo hub that exists in San Juan to be able to move some small parcels via Contour. So there's discussions that are going on that. So as early as possibly late this year going into early next year, we will have improved air cargo from Dominica to San Juan, Dominica to St. Thomas, if all goes well. We do have some of that already, but there's opportunity for a lot more. And it's strange that you'd mention the farmers get themselves ready, because in all the discussions that we've had with air cargo carriers and even Amerijet, because Amerijet would, on the completion of this project, will now be able to come back in from Miami direct. They now fly wide-body aircrafts, which are too big for Douglas Charles, but it'll be perfect for this airport. But the feedback that we receive from them is that even when they operated into Douglas Charles, they came in heavy and flew out light, right? So that is something we should keep in mind, that we want to ensure that they come in heavy and leave heavy. And just to all the producers and and agents to start looking at things like cut flowers, and we've been talking to the folks at Dexia as well to start that process.
Just want to say to our viewers that where we are now located is on the car park of the International Airport. At the back of us is the terminal. For viewers who have just tuned in, Sammy, could you quickly, in a few seconds, mention to them exactly what this terminal is all about?
Yeah. So as I said earlier, basically the terminal is going to be 15,000 square meters, which is roughly 5 times the size of Douglas Charles. If you want a comparison regionally, the terminal in Urinor in St. Lucia is about 9,000 square meters. So as you see on the layout, you'd have departures to my right, right? Then in the middle is where you'd go in for your security screen, security check, and then go up to departures. On the other side, you would have your arrivals and immigration, then going into the customs area on this side, baggage claim, customs, and then departures. And the intent really is to have the car park be convenient for those departing, those arriving, those picking up, as well as shuttle and tour operators. We've made an allocation for tour operators as well to easily pick up those going come to Dominica in large groups. Yeah. So that is where we're at right now, and looking forward to 2027.
Just want to say thank you to you, Sammy, for giving us a very concise description and information of the works and the construction of the International Airport. And I just want to say to our viewers, thank you for viewing, and I'm sure that sometime again in the very near future that we'll get much more than what we have just given to you, because we're seeing the works of the International Airport is actually ongoing. As we heard from Sammy, that they are already on schedule, a little bit above schedule, and we're hoping that by 2026 when we return here, we will have much more work. But also we'll have seen buildings around next year, that same time, 12 months from now, we'll actually see buildings where we'll be able to get in and show people exactly what Sammy has been actually describing to us in a skeleton manner. So once again, I'm Cecil Joseph saying thank you for viewing DBS Radio.